Well, good morning, and welcome to Doppler'S Gear Garage. Pleasure to see you. All right, let's jump into the chat here real quick. Chris, hello, my dear friend. As always, greatly appreciated. Gosh darn it. Sonia, good morning to you. Always nice to see people saying hello in the chat. That is one of my favorite things ever, ever, ever. All right, Jacopo. Oh, Jacob, hey. I've been practicing. That's going to be one of the topics of today. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Grandmaster Jacob, by the way, those of you who don't know, and I guess a bunch of you are about to know, Jacob is a chess grandmaster, genius of chess, and I'm newly married, so congratulations. Eric, good morning to you. Hello, 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 hello. Griffin, great to see you. George, thanks so much. All right. And again, I love to see the crosstalk. All right, let's jump in and talk about what we're going to do. The funny thing is I've got some Easter prep that I'm doing. So it's going to be a short show, but the funny thing is I was thinking to myself, like, an hour show is a short show, which kind of speaks to kind of what we do. I love the fact that you hang out with me every Saturday, and we get a chance to have this kind of community. I'm so grateful for it. And so it always means that I'm kind of always thinking about, like, what is it that I get to bring for you? So there are a couple of things that come to mind. One of the things that we're going to talk about is all this crazy gear that's next to me. The other thing we're going to talk about is some guitar playing stuff. And on the guitar playing front, we're going to go through two main things. Let me give you a little bit of a preview here so you know what to expect. In previous weeks, we've gone through all of this business over here. What I wanted to do was reduce it down to this little bit of business right here. And it's going to allow us to do one of the most important things for me, which is share the ability to look at the neck. And rather, most of us just started off playing one pentatonic box. We were lucky if we actually knew what the starting note was other than the fret location. But we never learned that when we learned the A minor pentatonic, if, for example, I'm jumping in here, but it's just as a little preamble. If we learned the note names on the guitar went E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and we took the intersection of this fret, 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 and that fret in the midst of all that, we would have gone, all right, E, F, G, A, and C, okay. A, B, C, D, and E, okay. All right, D, E, F, G, and A, all right. So that's a bunch of A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. And we would have known the note names of what we were playing from kind of the beginning of all of that. This little bit of business over here is about taking that to a slightly different level. At the beginning, oh, we're hot. That's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. As in G, hold to A, hold to B, F to C, hold to D, hold to E, hold to F sharp, half to G. And if we were to take the minor scale, which flats to 3, flats to 6, and flats to 7, instead of going G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, you end up with G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, and G. And if you can learn to think of where those notes are, which is why I just shrunk it down instead of all of this business, down to this business, hello. That makes it that much more manageable. And literally, if you kind of take a look at those two charts there, you can just kind of go, all right, the B turned into a B flat, the E turned into an E flat, and the F sharp turned into an F. That's not that much to manage. And so as we work with that, we're going to go through that in a couple of different ways. The other thing that you saw me doing there at the top, which is going to be huge for so many of you, is to take the whatever kind of set of riffs you do. Like quite often, I'm becoming very conscious of what I do repetitively. Good, bad, or in between, repetition in many ways is who we are and where we live. If we're not conscious of when and where and how much we're repeating ourselves, it starts to become habitual, playing in the same keys, playing the same riffs over and over. Part of that can be fundamental parts of building whatever style you're going for with your vibe. However, if we play the same riffs over and over in the same places, we kind of begin to get a little less excited. So what I kind of did was I said, well, okay, all right, Doug, what is one of the most straightforward ways you could force yourself out of E? Like, what happens is that I've been a few years since I played that at the beginning of the song, but basically, that's the beginning intro. Right? That's happening at the beginning of well, it's this. Hang on. It's this. You got the other. So that, gets me started when I jump into the beginning of the show. And I was like, well, what if we jump up a fourth? So that is say we're going to go, and I want you to grab a pencil because we want to write this down. Now, and we're thinking about kind of, if you will, what I would describe as a Dorianized pentatonic. So, but you could play just regular minor pentatonic, you can play Dorian, you can play whatever the heck you want to, but I want you to write this down. E. Gonna jump up a fourth. A. You got it, D. G. C. That is to say, you should still be writing this down. We're going to call this one B flat. A flat. D flat. And this one we're going to call it F sharp. B. Come back at. right, so the deal is, I don't care. I'm going to say it generally. It doesn't matter who you are. We fall into playing in the same places. If you will, we hang our hat at certain locations on the neck from E. You know, kind of like most pentatonic driven players, I kind of hang out at pattern number 1. I'll jump down to the bottom of pattern number 5, back into pattern number 1, and into pattern number 2. That's basically, if you will, that's the flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4. Displaced across 3 octaves. Now that by the way is the flat 7, 1, flat 3, 4. Right there. But I kind of have a tendency, as I kind of walk up pattern number 3, that's one of the places I have a tendency to jump to. And the same way I walk up from pattern number 1. I have a tendency to do the same thing at pattern number 3 into pattern number 4. Then I kind of have a tendency to walk into 3-note per string pentatonic stuff. And there I'm back at pattern number 1, jumping into pattern number 5. So kind of like, it's a little bit of rinse and repeat. Not that there's anything wrong with it. At least it kind of allows me to access different areas of the neck. And again, when you start beginning to think about the pentatonic linearly, start integrating the modes into that, so that I talked about the concept of a Dorianized pentatonic. The idea is taking this minor pentatonic scale. If I took the D major scale, 3-note per string that is, and played that there, when I get to the top 2 strings, here we go. When we get to the top 3 strings, instead of doing that, as we walk up D major, that fills in that pentatonic with the notes of that being a natural 6, that being a natural 2. And that's basically a Dorianized pentatonic. Oh, that flat 5. And that little bit, that kind of Jimmy Page, is the natural 6, sliding from the 5 to the natural 6. That's the 1 and the 2, and that little bend there. Every so often, I'll begin to kind of blues the 5, outlining a little bit of the Mixolydian, but so it's kind of this Dorianized, Mixolydianized pentatonic. Notice kind of when I land down here, that right there, that octave right there, it's one of the places I land. Now it gets me to one of the other important concepts, which is like, hey, where are my E's, gosh darn it? Yeah. And beginning to target those. So we kind of have some different places on the neck to be able to kind of outline. Then, once we've kind of burned that, and it's like, I do that in E all day long. Well, okay, A is a great. key to do that in next, jumping up a fourth, as in E, F sharp, G sharp, A. Or so, and then doing the same thing. Now the interesting thing, there I'm jumping into pattern number 4 because that's where that, if you put your third finger at A and you play the open string, that basically right there on the bottom 2 strings of the minor pentatonic or the blues scale, that's basically outlining that same shape there. And you could in turn go, okay. And that's where kind of the shapeology, I see a couple of comments floating in. So give me just a moment, I will jump in, and then I can thoroughly distract myself. But the idea is then beginning to map different locations for these different keys and being conscious about, all right, you know, we got some A stuff there. Let's jump up to D. And what's neat about this is we're so used to playing in E, now all of a sudden we're forced to kind of go, okay, let's shift things around a little bit. So where that pattern number 3 box was for E, it's going to be there for D. The other thing is this little guy right here. That is at the beginning of pattern number 1. That minor pentatonic with that flat 5. I keep playing the natural tune there when I'm intending to play the flat 3, not the. The other thing that's important about this, if I move up to E real quick, this guitar actually sounds really good in E to my ear. There's a, but in D, D has a different sound harmonically where it sits on the neck. I'm going to go to the number 2 pickup selection from the number 1. Because where interestingly enough, higher up the neck, there's a prettiness and a resonance that E gets that D doesn't on this guitar. But moving over to the number 2 pickup selection, all of a sudden there's something that jumps out. And up a 4 from there. It's going to be G. Now again, one of the other things I do is I octave squat. And there, right there, is pattern number 4. I sometimes in my mind think of it as pattern number 1 gone wrong. And this. It's just, you know, it's not the same as pattern number 1 because it's not, but there's our root right there. So having that spot to jump on, I'll also look for, and that's pattern number 3. And then kind of down to pattern number 1. One of the things that's neat about G, because it runs from the bottom of the neck to the top of the neck, it's a great key to just kind of get used to mapping pairs. Of strings as individual strings. You get the point. C just kind of moving around. Obviously, G moves up to C. And what's neat about this is it breaks us out of that, like, I'm stuck in the same key playing the same crap over and over again, which happens. And so what's neat about this, I was like, oh, this is, and not only that, it's fun and it's challenging, because what I find is that I'm landing in different places on the neck. I'm learning to explore. I'm going to try moving back to, oh, I'm back in number 1 again. And again, one of the things that I want to address is I learned to approach the root from a couple of different directions, but it's based largely on how I approach it, or how you would approach it in pattern number 1. If you think about the bottom 2 strings of minor pentatonic pattern number 1 right there, or adding the blues, that flat 5 there. We approach it kind of with that first finger being the lowest of those 4 notes. Here, it's, if you will, the second of 4 notes. And that flat 3. And there. That's the octave. It's got that slightly weird basically learning to find those C's with that third finger. C. And being able to kind of target those places that we like to land. That's mainly what's driving what I'm looking for, is where are convenient places to place those kind of different things around the roots more than not. All right. So the idea, let me just walk through the keys again. E, A, D, G, C, F, B flat, E flat. E flat is going to go to A flat, and I'm going to call that guy C sharp, because that flat 3 of that is the E. F sharp. Because the flat 3 of that is that A. That gets us to B. And we're back at E. All right. But that is a little workout routine, just flipping great. You could also simply go. Sorry. And you're back at E there. So that would be kind of a fun way to also solve one of the common problems guitar players have is like, hey, how do I jump from my rhythm into my lead? So one of the things, if I'm an E, I'm targeting where my E's are. Notice when I went to D, not as comfortable jumping off there, so I did something that's very typical of pentatonic players. I'm like, if I play that D there, I instantly jump to pattern number 1 there. So instantly I'm going to go, hey, let me flag that. Such that my instinct when I go to that D there at the 5th fret is not to jump up to that D there at the 10th fret on the 6th string or pattern number 1 of the minor pentatonic. Go, all right. And again, we talked about using, so I'm using that, what I've learned, playing out of pattern number 1. That's also that little thing that we jump from the bottom of pattern number 5 to pattern number 1 into the upper part of pattern number 2. The other thing, by forcing myself to do that, I found another thing. I kind of walked up what is pattern number 4. And I kind of and that allows me to jump into pattern number 1 from there. All right. That's enough for now. All right, hang on a second. Okay, hang on a second. Let me get caught up so I don't miss anything that is important for us to collectively dwell on. All right. Hang on a second. Let me. All right. Good. All right. I love again seeing you guys say hello. Anil, what's happening? Good morning to you. How do you create chords for each mode scale? It's a great question. Hang on. Let me make a little note. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into notes. I charged my keyboard last night, so why are you not working this morning? That is so weird. Okay, hang on. Let me unconnect you. That is very weird. Okay. I guess, are you not seeing power? Huh. The interesting thing is that this is one of the funny things about preparedness is every so often you think you're doing all the right things. So I knew that my keyboard was getting a little low on charge last night. So I charged it. But that didn't mean it actually charged. I thought I charged it. Okay. Plan B is I can do this without a keyboard. All right. So I'm going to come back to that. Unfortunately, I'm not going to have my keyboard, but I can go this way. So give me a moment. Let me open up notes here. Chords and modes. Modal chords. It's one of my favorite subjects, by the way. I really appreciate the input. Always appreciate it. I always feel like I'm kind of tugging stuff out. I think people are shy in the chat sometimes. So thank you for that. We will hit that. And again, I love saying people say hello. All right, Steve, good morning to you. Sunny, what's happening? Speedwagoner, hello. Okay, we just lost audio. Faster, Michael, what's going on? Jason, what's happening? Rocking a Kramer. Not quite a Hamer, but Kramer's okay. For those of you who don't know, Jason has this beautiful kind of. It's a funny thing. There's a piece of gear that I put up for sale yesterday. And it's red, but as I kind of got to the listing in Reverb, it said orange. I'm like, that's not orange. So in any case, he's got a very kind of orange bursty Hamer that's a great sounding guitar. Double cut. I think we met at the Paul Gilbert camp at that very interesting college campus in Southern California. Great to see you. Audio quite intermittent here on Cypress. Okay. Sorry to hear that. Let me know if that's any better or worse. Always riffing a little Satriani. It is back. Now gone again. Breaks the heart. Good morning. How you doing? I think you were the gentleman that joined us last week. Welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. Okay. We'll catch the repeat either sound. Okay. Brad, what's happening? I'm looking forward to joining everyone in the wonderland of guitar. Well, welcome, welcome. Sean. Hold on. Sean celebrated a birthday this week. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, my man. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. There we go. Yes, the orange bird. Okay. Now, modal chords. This is one of my favorite subjects. So here's the deal. This is actually a lot easier. And first of all, Sean, with great pleasure, my friend, with great pleasure, than many people would think. And so it comes down to the idea of some very simple harmonization. And in his wonderful book, Videology, Mr. Vi would describe those as chord scales. And the idea is I'm taking the G major scale, as in G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C, hold the D, hold the E, hold the F sharp, half to G. And I'm playing it on this string, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and I'm going up a third to B, and going B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. And I'm playing the G and the B, the A and the C, the B and the D, the C and the E, the D and the F sharp, the E and the G, the F sharp and the A, and the G and the B at the same time, harmonizing the G major scale in thirds. And that was, by the way, the first harmonization exercise that Joe Satriani had me do. And I think he had me harmonize the entire guitar for the key of G major in thirds. So if you're looking for a Satriani exercise, well, there you have it. So the idea is we would take basically the G major 3-note per string scale, the starting notes. We're not going to do the high E string because we don't have a high A string to harmonize. But the idea, a great place to start would just be to harmonize in the key of G. Now, I actually want to use this to introduce a really important thing that we're going to hit when we get to these note names. A little bit earlier in the podcast, I love that word, we talked about the idea of like, hey, if you can see, it was we were talking about, you know, when we've been taught that A minor pentatonic, rather than just seeing a shape that starts at the 5th fret, that we actually saw the intersection of, I'm going to just play up to the 8th fret here, if you will, calling out the note name. So we saw E, F, G, A, B, C, that A and that C, A, B, C, D, E, D and E, D, E, F, G, A, that G and A, G, A, B, C, D, that C and D, B, C, D, E, F and G, that E and G, E, F, G, A, B, that A and that C, E, F, G, A, B, C, that A and the C, and collectively that showed us how this was A and C, D and E, G and A, C and D, E and G, A and C, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, C, A, G, E, D, C, A, G, E, D, C, A. Wasn't thinking I was going to go backwards that fast this morning. But that allows us to actually see those notes for what they are. A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A, C. And that gives you tremendous insight in all this. So if you were to do that same idea, kind of striping the entire neck, but with the natural notes, and then going, okay, instead of going E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, I'm going to go E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, and A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. That sets us up to go, all right, on this string I'm going to go G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and on this string I'm going to go B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. And if you can see where those notes are, it makes it a lot easier to start harmonizing. And then here we're going to be starting from the C note, and that's going to be the E. There's E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E. This is F sharp, and this is going to be the A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. This is going to be B, and that's going to be D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. And that's going to be E, and that's going to be G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Makes having a basic framework for harmonizing the neck much, much easier. Now, Mr. Vai, in addition to harmonizing in thirds on the fourth and third strings, as he created these triad chords, also harmonized in fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 1 and the 5 in the key of G are G and D. And so basically, here you're going D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. While you're going G, A, B, so on and so forth on this string. And if we play the thirds and the fifths at the same time, we end up with major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. That is say, if we came to the agreement, that's a major triad, that's a minor triad, and that's a diminished triad, as in 1, 3, 5, 1 flat 3, 5, 1 flat 3 flat 5, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. Now, if instead of going 1, 3, 5, we took this one and we moved it down an octave, that's going to be a G. That B is going to stay in the same place. And that D, we're going to move down here. And essentially, we're, instead of playing fifths like this, we played them like this. It's like power chords until you get to F sharp and C. And if we did that note, that little B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B stays there. So we got... And now you have instant modal chords. One, that is say, not that you didn't with these guys, but you know that is not necessarily something I'm going to use to write a chord progression versus. So as it relates to just the key of G major, there's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, which you can think of as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And we're basically just harmonizing in fifths, going D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. And on the string, we got our B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. Instead of going like this, playing thirds like that, we're going like this. And adding the fifth, and that's major. That's major. This is voiced 1, 3, 5. This is voiced 1, 5, 3. The 3's in the same place. We just move the 1 and the 5 down there. So this is 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, flat 3. And if you played a major bar chord and just played the 6th, 5th, and 3rd string, and isolated those. You know what? I wonder if the fact that I've got Wi-Fi on I'm going to leave it on for right now. I could either make things worse or better. And for right now, I'm in favor of not making them worse. So basically, where we had this business, we just turned it into this business. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And that's taking the 1, 5, and 3 of major, the 1, 5, flat 3 of Dorian, 1, 5, flat 3 of Phrygian, 1, 5, 3 of Lydian, 1, 5, 3 of mixed Lydian, 1, 5, flat 3 of minor, 1, flat 5, flat 3 of Locrian, and 1, 5, 3 of major. And if you think of the major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian as the 1, 2, 3, 4 modes based on each of the successive scale degree numbers of the major scale, we can think of it as a 3 chord, really taking the 1, flat 3, 5 out of the Phrygian mode. So that 3 represents the 3rd mode, Phrygian, and the chord tones we would pull from it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we jump up here, and if you think about that chord right there, a 5th string root major bar chord, which is voiced 1, 5, 1, 3, 5. We take that 1, 5, that 1, sorry, that 1, that 5, and that 3. Same notes we played there, but we have to play a fret higher on the 2nd string because it's tuned a half step lower. We're at the 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, which in turn gets us to 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6, 4, 7, 5, 1, 6, 2, 7, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, 4, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, 4. And now, let's just say we want to set something up for the key of E minor. I'm going 6 chord, 4 chord, 3 chord, 5 chord. Hold on. Trying to do something I can't play it. Wait, what? So I'm adding a little bit of movement. So I'm going basically 1, 5, 3, 1, 1, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, flat. Sorry, 1, 5, flat 3, 5, 2, 5, flat 3. Back to the 5. And then the same thing. 1, 5, 3, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5. I'm going to go to the 2. And I'm going to go, I'm going to play the 1, 5, flat 3, 1, 1, 5, flat 3, 5, 2, 5, flat 3. So I'm playing the flat 2. Sorry, the flat 3 and the 2 there. Basically, and that's just getting kind of comfortable with going around. get that pedal right. But the point being is that's now adding a little bit more color, so it's not just. And again, because we're learning to think of like, hey, I've just got E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, E, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. I'm able to kind of, all right, there's basically, there's my, I can also think of that as 1, 5, flat 3, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, flat 3. I can also think of that as my G to my F sharp to my G. There's my E to my D. There's my C to my B, and there's my F sharp to my E, because I've learned to recognize where those notes are in the neck. That is to say, I can think of this chord, an out of tune E minor chord, that's voiced 1, flat 3, 5, and this is voiced 1, 5, flat 3. That is to say, that's E, G, and B, and this is E, B, and G. That voice in there has a stateliness of it that I really love. And what's neat about it is you begin to surround that with other instruments, because you're using what are called spread triads. That is to say, every time you go from one note in the voicing to the next, you're always skipping over a 1, 3, or a 5 in the process. So if the voicing is going 1, 5, 3, on the way up from the 1 to the 5, you're skipping the 3. And on the way up from the 5 to the 3, you're skipping the 1. So they're always spread apart that way. And they really have a... an elegance to them. All right. Gosh darn it. Down the triad rabbit hole we go. I hope that was a help. Let me get back into the comments here. Okay. Power ballads all the way. Kareem, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. Hope you had the note before you... how do you find the note before you play it? I love that. Do it naturally. I'm used to improvise and change the tuning to also find new chords with the best book it's about from Joe Pass, as Satch mentioned it. So bunch of meat on that bone there. So first of all, one of the things is that if I play a phrase, no, 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 D, not hitting a C sharp. The real thing that's happening is once you kind of begin to kind of know where the bass note movement is, and then you're kind of dropping an anchor on either the root of the chord you're moving to or one of the chord tones, you're generally setting up a harmonic roadmap to invite the listener on. So it means that kind of the chords are setting the course. And I made this funny analogy of, I use it a lot with my students, where the left hand is this horse and it's marching around. And generally, the left hand is playing the bass note of a... Then the right hand is basically taking that bass note, and if you will, kind of going, starting from that note, playing 5 notes that it can turn into a chord, or it can play a little melody around. And as that moves, generally that moves, and they kind of move together. So your melody notes are following the bass note movements, both chordally and scale wise. So the idea is, let's say I'm at the 6th chord. I go to my 4 chord, 2 chord, 5 chord. And so I'm utilizing kind of those 5 note groups. Again, if I did it in the most basic way, there's my E minor chord, there's my C major chord, there's my A minor chord, my D major chord. Trust the fourth, Luke. In fact, that'd be a really great way to kind of get used to identifying chord tones in a bass note move. So that is, I am going E, C, A, D. And so out of that, I hit the C sharp. So there I'm kind of outlining just that triad. So your ear begins to recognize that of then once you kind of, your ear begins to recognize the sound of those. I'm at the 1 of the 4 chord. I'm at the 1 of the 2 chord. The 1 of the 5 chord. The other great thing about the minor pentatonic is that for every chord that you could play, there will be at least 2 notes, as I recall, maybe just 1. I need to double check for all 7 modes, but there's 90% of the time there's 2 notes you can play out of the minor pentatonic that line up with the chords. So that's going to be the E and the G. Sorry, that's going to be the E, G, and B. And then the E and the G. A, C, and E. So we got all of those. No, that we don't have the C. We got the A and the E. And for the D, F sharp, and the A, we got the D and the A. So that is that we don't have the C, well. That's going to be the A and the E. That's going to be the D and the A. So I hit an E and an A. It was going to go. So if you kind of get. Sorry, I'm going to hit an E, G, and a B, and E and a G. I'm going to hit an A and a C. So an A and E, or not like that, or and then a D and A. I can think the right notes and play them at the same time. But that way, once you just reduce that down to that, your brain and your ears and all these things begin to line up, and so you begin to kind of A and E. And then we've got the D today. N-E. And then D and A. So it's oversimplifying it, but what you're also training your ear to do and your brain to do is like, out of all the noise, to be able to pick out and you kind of be in the anticipation that also you begin to kind of, if you're, that's E and G and B, you just begin to feel where those notes are. And actually the most important thing I can say, that it took me a lot of words and notes to get there, eventually, if you kind of get used to being able to identify, hey, over this chord, those notes feel like they're resolved. Over this chord, those notes feel like they're resolved. Those feel like they're resolved. And then you begin to recognize by the feeling of that note next door to where I am, or the note that I'm hanging on as the chord changes around, that's going to feel like it resolves. And it's what I would call musical intuition. Some people like Neil Schon are born with it. The rest of us, we have some degree of it, but we have to then kind of fine tune it and learn it. But this is where it gets kind of fun. All right. Great question, Kareem. Thank you. John, good morning, my friend. I owe you an email. It's been kind of a crazy week. I managed to catch a slight flu bug on Monday and Tuesday. It was like, but I'm kind of back in it. And that's kind of was the impetus of this kind of like, for those of you that were kind of here in the beginning, of walking through this playing in fours from E to A to D to G to C to F to B flat to to B flat to E flat to A flat to C sharp to F sharp to B, and then back to E. Kind of. So as not to sit in the same key all flipping year long. All right, Mike Mitchell, what's going on, my friend? Great to see you. Gosh, those they updated. They did a firmware update on my streaming software, and the comments are showing up small. I'm gonna have to figure out how to make them bigger. Junie, what's going on? Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. Any signs of my HD 500X? That is sitting upstairs on the Gear Hoarder Can't Get Rid of It rack. Thank you for asking, my friend. Awesome. Yep, all chords are linked by music theory, but you can you can make some messy choices. Eddie Van Halen. Well, the great thing about Eddie was he always heard the bigger picture. Like if you listen to him, I don't know. Outlining chords, right? And he he was on a different level because he was Eddie. He heard a relationship of between the notes, and that was what was great about the thing between Eddie and Alex is between the two of them there was this thing where Edward had this relationship between the melody and the chords and the melodicism, and in turn Alex understood how to translate that into rhythm. And then you have Van Halen. No audio for me. I'll catch the rerun later. Gosh darn it, that is so frustrating. Eric, what's happening, my friend? All right, hey, ladies and gentlemen. I have some preparation that I need to do on this music here. We've been here an hour and 6 minutes. I said that we were going to do a short show and go an hour, and, well, we went an hour and 6. In any case, I hope this has been insightful. This actually, I learned a few things. Really, this little bit of playing the first 5 notes of each mode for whatever chord you're outlining. That is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, and learning to be able, if you're playing on the 6th chord, 4 chord, 2, 5. We're basically taking the first 5 notes of minor, and then just taking the 1, 3, 5. I should say the 1 flat 3 5. The first 5 notes of Lydian, the 1 3 5. The first 5 notes of Dorian, the 1 flat 3 5. The first 5 notes of Mixolydian, and that allows us to really identify out of the scale those chord tones. And that again is taking this concept of, hey, Riley, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. The left hand is the horse and is jumping around generally, playing the bass note. The right hand is kind of chasing it, playing the first 5 notes of the scale started from wherever the bass note is, and then using that to play melody and chords, and in turn that kind of moves around. Now, as we get better at working with chords, per all these crazy chords that I'm working on for these Easter songs, there's all these kind of these wacky inversions that are, and I actually am a huge fan of inversions, but when you've got, you've got some of these stranger keys where you're playing like a C over, what is that wacky one? It was, I think there's some, I think it was, what was it was just some really strange, I think it was a B flat over D, and it's like, it's just a B flat chord. You're playing basically the upper part of the B flat chord over D on the chart, and then it's going to an E flat. But there's something about that the brain going B flat over D. Wait, what? Oh, right, B. There's just a moment that if you're not used to thinking of that B flat major chord in first inversion as B flat over D, that you're like, wait, what? In any case, that's my day. Again, thank you so much. I hope this has been insightful. Chris, Alexander, I always appreciate your questions. You said a couple of things through. I'm not going to have time to get to those, other than to say he asked a question about clothes, and I am gonna answer that. Riley, please bring your questions in the next stream. That would be great. The more, the merrier. The funny thing is that when you're, and it's a larger question that actually I didn't get a chance to ask that I hopefully will remember at the beginning of the next stream, is what are your goals? What are you trying to get out of this? Are you wanting to play live? You want to just record? What are your goals? Because it allows me to kind of go, one of the important things when you're speaking to a room full of people is to understand who you're speaking to. Now, because I know so many of you, I know you, but that doesn't mean I know everybody that's here that's watching. So it's something to be conscious of. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your energy, and I thank you for your questions. And I thank you for showing up on my Saturday and yours. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers. Bye for now.